Hello, you lovely people. Hi, you kindly folk. It's been a while since we last met, our adventures left unwoke. We've got our maps and dice in hand and tales that still provoke. Together we will journey on, our laughter will evoke. Throughout the magic realms we'll go as friendship grows and grows. So hello, you lovely people, and hi, you kindly folk.
Welcome back, adventurers, to another thrilling session with the Band and Broken. I'm your host and Dungeon Master Kala, and as we dive back into this tale, we find ourselves picking up right where we left off. But of course, a recap of the previous session brought to us this time by Parrish.
Learning a new tavern, I find to be a meditative experience. A new city, a new rhythm, but as much as things change, they tend to stay the same. When my party awoke and came down, I had already prepared breakfast, a pot of coffee, and a pitcher of wine. The tavern was not too busy, and it gave us a moment to discuss the day before. Namely, the service that we had vowed to provide to an unkind man, and Ari's realization that he had a hand in the murder of his once beloved Lafayette. I truly hope Ari can find a way to forgive this man if he can be forgiven. Not for him or for that this crime boss deserves it, but for Ari himself, so that he does not need to carry the weight of vengeance in his heart for the rest of his days. The party agreed that we should take action against this man and not help him, but we're split on how to approach it. Ortega and Lady Tatiana were unknown to them as far as we were aware, and we contemplated infiltration while the rest of us moved against them, gaining information in the city whatever ways that we could. I understand that Ortega, Ari, and Tatiana were set out to the city to their own devices. I wanted to try and gather as much information at this tavern as I could, loose lips and all. Talus stayed around, and it gave us a chance to speak. For my part, I wonder what would have happened if violence had broken out last night. I wonder what she would have chosen if it were only up to her. And I wonder what she will do with the piece of parchment in her pack, smelling of a foul swamp with demonic characters inscribed upon it. In time, Ortega and Ari will recount to me their interactions with the baker, the attempts to rid themselves of the cursed mask, and what items were born from it to serve us. Something that I hadn't noticed, and I feel I should have, and maybe if I was still as I was, I might have. But Lady Tatiana seemed off, strange, hungry. Maybe one day I will ask the rest of the party what they wish they would have done, but I don't think I will. Not worth it to dwell on such things. Next I knew, Ari was bursting through the tavern doors, gun drawn, streets erupting in chaos behind him. We followed him back to the bathhouse. There's a particular smell of blood and water, metallic. When we came across what Lady Tatiana had transformed into, I found myself frozen, overwhelmed with images of violence and death, not of that around us, but of my time during the War of Ash and Light, reliving those moments, as I often do when I look through my book of names. I wish I could have placed a hand on Talus's shoulder and given us the courage to move forward. Unfortunately, I just wasn't strong enough in that moment. Ari did something I didn't know if he would ever do again. He drew his gun on Lady Tatiana and shot at her. Ortega was resolute in his conviction that she needed to be put down. And for a man with such a strong will, I'm glad that his heart has softened enough that he chose to try and embrace love first. He waited out and placed a hand upon her, and by whatever magic he used, brought that to its end.
With that brief recap, giving us the true events that led us to this point, we witnessed unexpected twists and a growing tension that has left everyone on edge. What happens next? Only the dice and the will of the broken can tell. So when we last left, Tatiana was laying unconscious in Ortega's arms. She doesn't seem to respond to even basic nudgings. And again, because she didn't breathe normally, it's almost impossible for Ortega to tell whether she's actually okay or not. The normal sense and behaviors that Tatiana used to exhibit are now lost with these glowing demonic runes and the smell of the Fae. Ortega, you know that Tatiana is a blood hunter. You know at least a little bit that there are places all over the town, all over the world where blood hunters roam. And you know that there are several avenues, at least to get potentially some information.
What do I believe to be the quickest way? Not the easiest, the quickest.
Well, yeah, it's a time crunch at this point. Make a Arcana or History check.
Well, I have the same bonus, so I will just do Arcana. 14.
Okay. You believe that if you were to bring it to like someone who is familiar with Fae would be a quick answer. Maybe even an alchemist of sorts might have something that they've dabbled in with Fae tonics and potions and such. Blood hunters, you know that there would be no questions asked. It might be able to be kept more hush hush. So you know the quieter method. You also know that there's probably the like I said, like a chemist or something would be able to maybe create an ailment of sorts. But you can't guarantee that it's going to be as quiet. And then also to where you guys came from, like the Cobalt Soul might have some answers as well. But by doing so, you're going to be probably sacrificing time at this point. So I think your quickest choices would be to find a chemist who is dabbled in Fae, or to bring them to bring everyone to the Blood Hunters.
Does anyone know the fastest way to find another Blood Hunter? As Ortega will pick up Tatiana, very groomsman carrying his wife type of manner.
Does Ari know anything about blood? I don't think I've even been to Angarel before. Do I know anything about finding blood hunters in town?
You wouldn't, I don't think, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The other two members in the party, however, they might be able to remember something just based on their history and their knowledge of kind of that world.
Would you accept a knowledge religion, since she is a ghost hunter, I believe?
Yeah, you could do a religion check for sure.
Would anyone like to help action me a chance before I press the roll button?
I'm not really religious, man. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to let you be on that one.
I'll get it.
The only other person would be Talis that could help, but she would know the opposite end.
Yeah,
Let's bank on that. Parrish doesn't recall anything about these orders. Tatiana's the first he's ever met in his very long life, though this is an unknown faction to me. However, we do have allies, or at least know of, where information is kept in the city. We could pay a visit to the Cobalt Soul. Talis, do you know anything further? I know your magics come from a different place.
Would I have any sense of where an organization like this might be likely to meet in a city like this, having been familiar with like the underworlds of various cities that I've been in during my travels?
I will let you make a history or a religion check. You can make it with advantage.
Okay. Those are such bad skills of mine. Okay. I will make a history. Ooh, that's a 12.
It's not much better, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You are in luck, though, because as soon as you start to think about where they might be, you hear a whisper in your ear, and you recognize the voice. And it's almost as if Saigon has been listening in on the conversation. And you hear...
The blood hunters in Marquette often keep to the southern walls.
I think we should head south. I think I noticed on the way in that there was sort of this wall that I think would probably be, a natural. I've seen in other cities places like this, and I think that would be the place in the city that it makes the most sense. I think we should head in that direction.
Well, I rolled an insight check.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll an insight check too.
On the unnecessary lie.
And I gotta say, as with many lies, the more details you add, the more just like, oh, what the fuck? No.
Well, you're gonna have to
roll for your insight check.
Advantage on insight checks.
Oh no. You guys are gonna have to beat a solid 12, okay? It's a solid 12 deception. Think about it.
I rolled a 14 with a plus 5.
Yeah,
You guys-
I reversed your numbers.
You guys both.
Oh, I got an 18.
No.
Oh, you're all
18, so
losing them a
Oh,
lot.
yeah, no, we all.
We're all just like sharing glances.
Yeah.
I like how we're
Just,
all looking around
You
being
guys
like,
all know
It's
that
just the architecture, okay? I just...
Talus would definitely have no reason to be so adamant on where to specifically go in a town that she's never been in a continent that she's never been in, but she knows exactly where to go. Yeah, there's some sus there for sure.
Talus thinks she's doing great. Like, in her mind, she's like, this makes so much sense. The architecture, the geography, it's all coming together, you know?
Ortega, having some behind the scenes notions, is going to look at Talus and go, "Are you sure?
Yes.
Lead on then. I don't want to get the Cobalt Soul involved."
Ugh.
And if we don't find anything on this lead, they're not going anywhere. Libraries don't tend to move too quickly.
I'd like to be very discreet about this and not get the entire city watch on our case.
Speaking of, I would love to have the time to perform rites on these people, but I think it may be pressing that we don't get tied up with the local law enforcement, gangs, or other groups who may have a special interest in mass murder at the bathhouses, especially since one of us may have caused it.
Now that things are settled, they're going to be moving quickly, so we should move as well.
Okay.
Ari's already moved to the door and is like looking outside to see what I can see. Are people coming for us yet?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Or do we have time to run?
You definitely have time to run.
Ortega,
There's no one within like the entire river district at this point.
Then Ari shouts back to the team, if you want to move, now's the time.
Ortega's just gonna take a quick glance around to see if he can see any survivors that may have worked here that may have an alternative exit to this building so that we're not leaving the front door.
There's
Not a bad idea.
As you're looking around to find a survivor, you're looking around at the entrances and the exits. There's only one. It's for security purposes, I guess. Whatever good
Place
that
is
did.
not up to firewood.
No.
Well, let's book it and we'll just play off that she got bit.
But just to confirm, we are all on the same page. I believe Tatiana can be saved. This can't happen again. And it's not on the one who's done this to her next time. It's on all of us. We made the choice.
We'll heal someone first before we damn them perish. You know I'm generally alongside with what you have to say, but I have made a promise to save her. And I look over to Ortega, and that's what we're focused on right now.
Don't like where this is probably going to end up, but we got to do something fast. And Ortega is going to slowly put her over his shoulder so that he has a more athletic ability to move fast than just carrying her in front of him.
Did you at all maybe take a minute to find like a towel or something? Because she's butt naked right now.
Ari will throw over his like poncho thing that he wears. He'll throw it over her if there's not a towel about.
Ortega would have immediately told Ari to turn around.
To be honest, Ari wouldn't have needed to be told. He just would have taken off the poncho and thrown it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were not running around with a naked woman through the streets.
Yeah, and Ortega is going to ask Ari to grab Tatiana's stuff so that she doesn't lose things this time.
I'll do it. I'll package up everything with what I have, and I think we have a bag of holding now. Either way, I will. I will quickly grab all of the stuff, and to be honest, I'm looking at Parrish. Just keeping an eye.
Tatiana doesn't need to breathe.
Pretty torn. Pardon?
Sorry, I was thinking out loud. I meant to hit the button.
But I'm just kind of keeping half an eye on Parrish too, because Ari's feeling a bit split on the idea that should this happen happen again, and Parrish's proclamation on that doesn't quite sit right. So, anyways, just eyes moving in two directions. It's a tiefling thing. Don't ask. And he grabs all of Tatiana's stuff and prepares to leave while still keeping an eye on Parrish.
I have an idea, and I'd like the party's opinion. Tatiana doesn't need to breathe. We could.
No, absolutely not. Let's just go. People carry around people all the time. You don't have to put her in a bag of holding.
I open up the bag of holding.
Oh, no.
Because I know exactly where you're going. I open up the bag of holding.
It would be much less conspicuous, though. I'm concerned for when she wakes up. She will be very afraid.
It will be safer being around town. Does anybody have parchment?
Yes.
Write her a note that says she
won't be able to read it in the bag.
You're right. We'll just have to explain it later.
If you think that she's not already scared out of her mind, I think you both might be very confused. Let's focus on getting her out of here safely.
She's going to be the safest one of us.
Let's go then.
Let's maybe throw in some
in the bag or out.
Just for the listeners, Ashley's faces are like, she's like, don't throw me in the bag. Like, it's so good.
Talus is gonna
at Talus, and he's gonna look at the other two to kind of motion that I think she's been outvoted.
May I make a point beyond Lady Tatiana will be afraid? What do you think Lady Tatiana will do when she is afraid and armed? And we cannot take her fangs from her.
Can I just say that if I ever am unconscious and you have to drag my bloody corpse somewhere, if I was put in a bag of holding, I would kill all of you and never forgive you. Let's not put her in the bag. I'll carry her if it's such an issue, and let's get going before the guard gets here.
My concern is she would rip
like
the
an
bag.
idea. Yeah, no, this seems like something that was maybe a good idea on first draft, but upon any critique whatsoever seems like an awful idea. So I'm going to quickly change my vote, close the bag, put it around my waist. You can carry her or not, but I'm leaving.
And I don't think that we need to tell her that we discussed the plan in such length.
Oh, no. Hard pass. I have her middle finger.
All right,
votes
into my 50. I'm putting her on my shoulders.
Okay.
Let's get out of here.
So you cover her up and you start to head down towards some weird guidance that Talus is being able to mosey her way through back alleys. It doesn't make sense how she knows all these places. She's able to get from one side of the town to the other. It's unique in the fact that it's almost as if she doesn't even know where she's going. She's just following someone. You know, as she stops for a second and she turns and she looks and she continues on forward down south. At some point you pass down the Sigil district, skipping it entirely. You make your way down towards the circlet walk and you find yourselves finally at a part in the town that starts to look slightly more religious and but militant in a way. And you see that in a tiny, almost like a halfway house, sort of. Nothing extravagant or anything like that. Just a shack, basically, at the edge of the wall. It's one built into the wall. This is an old building that's been maybe used to be a fort of some sort, and it has the symbol of the Blood Hunter with a teardrop blood shape emblazoned on a sign, very subtle. If you weren't a Blood Hunter, if you didn't know a Blood Hunter, you wouldn't have any idea that this was here.
Is it like a ramshackle door or a big door?
It's a very inconspicuous ramshackle door. It's meant to look like it's abandoned.
So Ortega could kick it in.
You could, yes.
I feel like that's the fastest way in.
I mean, if we want their help, we could try knocking first.
Y'all are no fun.
Knock, 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 knock.
It takes a minute. All of a sudden you...
See, this would have been way faster if I had to kick that door.
Just wait 2 seconds, Ortega.
You see a... as it opens wide, and you see a like a staunchy fellow dressed in plate mail, very clerical, but like sanguine reds and blacks with the blood hunter adornment on the logo on his chest where his plate mail is, his breastplate. You see he's got a giant tome off to the side, strapped to his side, and a long flowing blackened red cloak, and he looks...
Ortega's going to interrupt him before he can say anything, because Ortega doesn't want to wait.
No.
And he's going to say, "You look very clericy. Please fix her. She's one of you."
Let me see what I can do. Give her to me.
Ortega would like to roll insight.
Sure.
Advantage. That's really good. 16. Do I believe that he wants to help?
The fact that he opened the door for you, the fact that he didn't ask any questions, you safely assume, that blood hunters look out for each other. So he probably does genuinely want to help.
Ortega will step in front of Talus and hand Tatiana off his shoulder down to this man.
He looks at the face and goes, This is Lady Tatiana. How?
Yes.
Her mother is not going to be pleased.
Probably not.
We're going to keep this very quiet and follow me to the back. And he holds her. He's not even like, he's holding her the way you were holding her earlier. And he brings her over to an altar and he lays her down. And you see that the altar is emblazoned with skulls and candlelight, in the crimson flames. You see the blood hunter teardrop everywhere, and you see that it's very dimly lit, and there's alchemy stands all over the place. There's ancient blood hunter tomes that adorn one side of the wall. On the other side there's like a little kitchenette. It looks like this is a place where blood hunters would have come while they're in Marquette, or at least while they're in Corral, to disperse into Marquette. And he puts her down onto the altar and shoves some papers off to the side, and you see he opens up his tome and starts flipping through and looks at his book, and he starts reading this incantation. Does anyone speak Infernal? Yeah, okay. And does anyone speak Demonic?
Tiefling speak Infernal, baby.
The language does change every now and then. Okay, so you can understand half of what he's saying, because this is written through multiple people in multiple different languages, and you get the idea that he's doing some incantation, some spell, or a rite, as you've often heard Tatiana talk about. And you see the tome starts to glow a little bit, and it starts to encompass around Tatiana as he's speaking this demonic, as these incantation starts to swirl around Tatiana, and this green light blasts out, which is very uncommon considering the fact that everything here has been reddish and crimson. You see Tatiana's eyes come back. She opens up her eyes, and you see that they're green. You see that she's under some form of spell or curse of some sort, and as the incantation continues, you see it's almost as if Tatiana is speaking in some tongue that you've never heard her speak before. And the incantation stops, and he says, well, I don't know if we have a whole lot of time, but I can tell you right now, this is not something that we've dealt with in a very long time. I know of one thing that can happen, and I'm sure you would have noticed by now that Lady Tatiana has been corrupted of sorts, but not through blood. This is a curse in Fey origin, linked to blood. The only way that I can do anything, really, the only way that I can do anything at all is if you all go to the Fey and retrieve an item for me. I can create the portal, I can get you there. I can stabilize Tatiana at least enough so that she can join you. I can't guarantee she's going to be of help, but she can join you.
No. There's got to be another way.
If you do not get me a blood rose, Tatiana will be no more, and she will kill all of you, and she will bring forth chaos unlike the world has seen. This is a fey curse on a vampire. This is more than... This is her father. I don't even think her father was aware that this happened. The gift that... I see these runes. They literally say who her father is.
Parrish will put a hand on Ortega's back, lean in a little bit, just tell him, you are one of the strongest people I know. You are strong enough to do this. It's the right choice. It's the only choice. You're not the man that you were.
Comes alongside. Sorry, say it again, please.
You're right. It is the only choice.
Ari leans in as well, as he's heard what Parrish said, and he looks up at Ortega and says, I told you that I'm with you. I didn't mean for easy roads or ones that you can go down alone. I know that there's nothing that you want less than to go back to the Feywild. And I know there's nothing you want more than to bring Lady Tatiana back safe and whole. Something's got to give, and I'm with you.
Ortega's going to nod at Ari, and then he's going to burn his talus. I once promised you that I would take you to the Fae, where the grass is blue and the trees are purple. Seems like today's that day.
It seems so.
Why is that portal not up yet?
Oh, sorry. Now, just so you know, this is a one-way ticket. When you're in there, when you are in the Fae, there will be means of exit. Fae travel, well, at least within the past 50 years or so, Fae travel has been strictly monitored. Not many people come in and not many people go out. So
you're telling me that somebody in the Fae may know that we're there?
You...
And monitored by who?
There are a lot of people in this world that monitor the travel between realms. But I can tell you, at least in Marquette specifically, the Cobalt Soul has their hands on it. I don't know how much you know, but if you're caught in there by members of the Cobalt Soul, it is up to them to keep you there or punish you as they deem worthy. So we do have contacts on the inside, but there are easy ways of getting in and out if you know where to look. There are cities that have blown up, and there are cities that have blood hunters in there. They're a little kooky. But depending on where you head, that would be your best bet.
I think I've got it covered.
Okay. I want to say stick to the path, but usually there's no path. So do what you can. Get in, get out. Luckily for you, time is different there. So while you might spend a lot of time there, it will only feel like an hour or two here. So don't get too lost. Don't get too old. I'll see you when I see you, and get me that blood rose. I can turn that into a potion. We can give it to Tatiana, and we will get rid of the Fey curse, leaving her with the blood hunter abilities and the gift from her father, untainted. As I'm sure that's above my pay grade. I can't get rid of that.
I've seen a blood rose before. I know what we're looking for.
Well, consider yourself lucky. They haven't been seen for a long time, so if you know where to go, I wish you luck. And he turns around and he takes a potion out of his hand and he throws it in the other hand and uses like a mage hand and he throws it at Tatiana, and it basically breaks on top of her as she gets covered in this almost acidic ooze. It doesn't look like it's burning her skin, but it looks like it's kind of like shocking her into an awakeness, an alertness. You see, she quickly sits up and she looks at you as he quickly turns and he opens up a page in his tome and he rips out the tome and he speaks in the incantation of Sylvan tongue and a portal. It's a smaller portal. It's enough for you guys to get in. And you can see he's maintaining the concentration. He says, if you're going to go, you're going to have to go now. I can't hold it open long. Any longer, and we're going to get caught. So please make it quick.
Ortega's going to start pushing people through the portal. And then he's going to grab Tatiana, who is probably looking around with a very big WTF look on her face. And he's going to grab her and throw her through the portal and then casually walk through the portal.
Just as you get through the portal, you can feel the energy inside as the portal closes behind you, and you see the swirling green energy. Ortega, this is very similar to the one that you traveled in all those moons ago, as you're floating through like this tree trunk, and it looks like you're going down, and then it kind of looks like it shifts and it splits. One side seems to go to another plane, and the other one seems to go to this very majestical flora and fauna. You guys all know that this is where the green energy is going as you shoot out through a tree trunk. You guys are in the Fae.
Ortega's gonna look around and go, see Talus, bluegrass, purple and pink trees. Ortega's gonna take a big sniff, and then he's gonna look to Tatiana to see what she's thinking right now.
Tatiana's gonna walk over to you and kind of grab your wrist and pull you down to her level. Why are we here?
Do you want the short version or the accurate version?
Short version.
You bit a lot of people.
Short and accurate,
vampires.
both. I want both. Why does my head hurt?
You kept flipping us off and went into a bathhouse. Then you lost your damn mind, bit a whole bunch of people and turned them undead, and turned into kind of a demon-like thing. We're here to save you, because if we don't, you're gonna die and kill us all. Somebody cursed you.
Honestly, yeah, he kind of nailed it. Here's all your stuff, by the way. I would like my poncho back when you are feeling comfortable.
She's gonna grab her clothes and just like start dressing because she has no shame whatsoever.
Neither does Ortega.
So
Ari has enough shame to
see everybody in the party.
Don't worry.
As you all...
So why?
Oh, go ahead.
Why are we here? The one place that you should not be.
We're getting a blood rose so that we can get rid of the curse that your dad or somebody put on your dad when he gave you your fancy tattoos. Well, the only way to cure that is with something that's from here.
Well, we better do this quick and get the fuck out of here before you are discovered.
Yes.
As you all look around, finally getting your bearings into this strange realm, the first thing that you notice is the color of the river. Not blue, but a swirling mix of deep purples and glittering gold. It's as if the waters have been infused with starlight. The air hums with an energy that feels alive, the kind of charged static that dances on the skin during a lightning storm. There's a scent of wildflowers, honey, something faintly metallic wafts across the breeze, filling the lungs with an oddly sweet yet biting fragrance. As you approach closer to the riverbank, the ground beneath your feet transitions from soft moss to cool stone, wet and slick. You take every step as cautious as the next. The sound of water is not a babbling brook, but a low, melodic hum, like voices carried on the current, murmuring secrets just out of reach. You see, across the river, you spot glowing lily pads that emit a soft pulsing light, dimming and brightening like slow breaths. Everything here is alive, and in the distance you see what looks to be a figure sitting atop a large flat rock in the middle of the current. Their skin glistens like polished jade, slick with water. Long hair flows like a living waterfall. You see, as you get closer, the eyes are gleaming a strange green, reflecting the light of the magical water around him. Every time he hums, the air seems to ripple, causing the surface of the river to shiver. You hear a velvety voice, but beneath it, you hear this unnerving undercurrent. And you hear the sound of distant thunder rolling.
I need you all to listen to me very carefully. Everything here is out to get you. Do not accept any gifts because nothing is free. Do I make myself clear?
Sweetheart, this is not my first time here.
I like presents, but I can follow directions.
Everything here has a cost. And 99% of the time, you don't know what that cost is until it's too late. Also, literally everything is alive. I once saw a sunflower that had life. It was its own person, and it got up and walked around. He was married to a bumblebee.
Ortega, I know you have your history with your home. I can't, for the life of me, imagine wanting to leave this place, but I will heed your warning. I truly hope that we never need to go to the place where I was born.
Oh, don't get me wrong, Parrish. This is the most beautiful place in existence. And quite frankly, could possibly also be the deadliest. But I mean it when I say everything is alive. Also, getting stabbed by a little sunflower, that sucks. Was it a sunflower or was it a dandelion? I can't remember. Let's get moving.
Oh, good. Malscon, I'm going to immediately not heed his advice.
I'm gonna go touch the nearest thing.
Parrish will say,
Ari has been just about to touch something this entire time.
I do heed your advice that everything may have its own agenda here, but I would ask you to still keep an open heart. Aid can come when it is called, and Parrish is gonna cast Summon Mount, Find Steed at level 2.
Yeah. 24 paladin rules, everybody. Paladins get Summon Steed.
For free.
So they should.
You should have a guy. You should have a guy here.
I've got a guy.
You got a guy? Who's your guy?
So out from the forest, as Parrish lets out a melodic whistle, a golden elk of the Feywild steps out with glistening horns, and Parrish will let a hand on his nose, close his eyes, and say, "This is Melody Glimmerhoof, Duke of Song."
That is without a doubt the most beautiful creature I've ever seen in this place.
Ouch.
And I assure you, he comes to aid us. And Kyle, I will be using, against my better judgment, the Fey stat block.
Heck yeah, dude.
Okay, no, that makes sense. As you get closer to this river, you know that you have to, Ortega knows that he has to cross this river. It's one of the only problems with the Fae is you never really know where you're going to go, but you do know that at some point you have to cross the river. You start to get closer to the river, and there's no bridge across except for where this entity is humming to himself. And you see that this eccentric Fae stops you as it looks at all of you and interesting, with an evil tone. His mood completely changes from this melodic humming, and he goes,
"All of you wish to pass. However, you cannot until you pay my toll, for I'm the River King. I have domain and control over the rivers of the Fae."
And as he's still talking, his demeanor changes entirely, and he switches to a very chill, laid-back mood, and he goes,
But of course, the toll is very simple. All I want is...
and his mood changes again, just a snap of a finger as he's in this conversation with you, to a tired mood. This emotion, he goes,
just a memory will do.
A memory each or a memory in general? Just one.
and the mood changes again, and with a flirty tone, he goes,
"From each of you, for my own enjoyment, of course. Oh, and the elk, too. I can speak to them. They'll give me one also."
We get to pick the memory.
And with a fake mood, one that's, off-passing.
Whatever you want.
How about one memory from me?
And you see the mood changes again. He goes, almost disgusted.
No. Personal memory, each of you, that's gross.
Does everybody have a memory they're willing to give up?
I can think of one.
I told you nothing was free here.
Nothing's free anywhere, Ortega.
Yeah, but other places you can usually kill the thing that's trying to rob you of memories.
The mood changes again.
How about this? You let us pass, and I'll tell the Rebbe that you were kind.
As the mood changes, and you see his whole demeanor goes from this disgusted and flirty looks. He switches to like a very good mood. He goes,
Oh, never be. We go way back. No. This is unfortunately just for me and me alone. But I tell you what I'll do, since I'm feeling extra special today. I will tell you the memory to pick based on my emotion for each of you. When you start talking, my mood will change. And if I don't like that memory, I won't take it and I'll take another one instead. One of my choosing. Match me in my game.
And then his mood shifts again, angry.
And then just maybe I'll let you pass. But next time, it's not going to be this easy.
He's angry?
He's angry right now.
Ortega's going to give up the memory of slaughtering his village in anger.
Okay. And just as you give up that memory, you feel that memory just pass on off to him. You have no recollection of your village destroying it in anger. And he switches to a happy tone. He's oh, that was such a good memory. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you. Thank you. You've done such a good job. Your toll has been paid. You may go on. And who's next? Who can give me their next memory? This is so much fun. So he's in the happy mood right now. Someone has to give him his happy memory.
Ortega's going to look at Parrish, and then he's going to look at the elk, and then look back at Parrish. I would not see any of my friends give up something they love.
I'm afraid the only memories I have most of my life are the happy ones. But I suppose a pauper with only a few coins in his purse still needs to pay the same toll as anyone else.
I interrupt Parrish, please, and I look to Parrish and say, since we've been together, you've lost enough of yourself here, and I will not see you lose any more. I don't want to step on the thing, but Ari really wants to get in front of this, if that's okay.
Yeah, if
that's okay.
And Ari, if you're comfortable with that, Lee, then Ari steps in front. He's not willing to let Parrish lose any more of himself or his joy, not again. And he says, and he holds out his lute, he says, "This was given to me by a dear friend. His name was Toast. He's still not with us, but it was a kindness like I'd never received. He barely knew I loved to play music and wanted to more than anything in the world. And he made this for me. And it's one of the happiest memories I've ever had."
And as the memory fades from your existence, from your mind, you see his demeanor changes into a more sneakier mood, and he goes,
Yes, giving away those most precious to you are always interesting.
Parrish will say, "Ari, from the bottom of my heart, thank you." And
from the bottom of mine, you couldn't be more welcome.
Parrish will turn to this fey creature and say, "Now this is a thought that I had been toying with, and I hope it suits your ever-changing mood. Could I please offer you all memories that I have of ever meeting you?"
Ooh. That's very cunning.
It's pretty sneaky.
That's so epically Feywild. I love it so much.
It was the first thought I had when I saw this or heard of this thing.
So, in a friendly mood, he goes,
Of course. No issues about that. You can forget I ever existed. You will look at me as if I'm just a husk, an empty shell. Your toll has been paid.
So he's in a friendly mood right now. Someone has to give up an emotion or a memory. The only two that are left, plus the elk.
This is cruel and unusual punishment, Kyle. Oh my god.
I'd like to give up the memory of the friendship we had with Maggie.
Wow. Okay.
Kyle is striking gold today.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wait, I'm so sorry. I didn't hear it. My sound screwed up for a second with my headphones. What?
I want to give up the memory of the friendship we had with Maggie.
And you see
Kyle is getting gold.
as the thought of Maggie Keen Eyes fades from your thought and your memories. She no longer exists in your repertoire. And he, in a smart mood, he goes,
Interesting. Getting rid of somebody who doesn't exist. Very smart of you.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
There is only two left. The elk and this pretty little thing. What will it be?
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
So you have to give up a memory where you feel you were the smartest.
I could totally change Talus as a person.
Talus, I would be happy to ask the Duke of Song. These memories are too dear to part with.
Okay.
You deserve to relish in your victories.
Do you pick the poison you know and can see? Or do you pick the poison that you have no idea what his next move is going to be? Or do you just give him the wrong one and let him pick at random?
Let the elk take this one. I just need just another second.
Parrish will telepathically speak to Melody Glimmerhoof, Duke of Song, ask if they are willing to give up a memory where they believed that they were the most intelligent.
Greatest name for a creature I have ever heard in my whole life, and I have named 3 children.
So the elk, in this Sylvan tongue that doesn't make any sense to you guys, but for Parrish, he speaks.
What about Ortega? Ortega would know what it says.
This is. Do you have like speak with animals though? Like, are you?
No, but I speak Sylvan.
It can only speak telepathically, and only with me.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that the River King can do is he can speak with animals. That's his. He speaks with everything and anything.
Cool.
And you see for a moment, the elk is all majestic and proud.
Can I ask it, with your permission, may I hold that memory for you so it is not lost forever?
It goes. My smartest time was when I was named. You can call me by my name, but I will not know it.
Thank you.
Just as from this elk, majestic creature in its fey origin. And you see, lastly, this demeanor of the River King changes once again, and he goes,
Oh, that was so beautiful. Thank you. A part of me will be lesser for that now, but that is okay, because now there is tolls that have been paid, except for one. Please, tell me about your beauty, pretty little thing.
Alice, we just sit for a minute and think about all of the things that she could give him. She's going to turn to the entity and she's going to say, recently I had to make a sacrifice that I didn't think I would be able to make. And I give you the memory of that sacrifice. And it will be as if I never made it.
and then lastly, as you see the demeanor changes and he goes, so he feels like crap, like he knows what he's done is wrong. And he takes it anyways. And he goes,
your toll's been paid. Now you can cross, just leave me to my own devices. But be careful, because
in a nervous, like an upset nervous, he goes,
everything here is out to get you. A new ruby is coming. Be careful. I'm scared for you. But your debt's paid. You can go. Make haste.
Just out of character, because I want to clarify which memory exactly that Talos gave up. Like, because it was kind of vague. And everybody else's were very specific.
I know exactly.
We as players, I just want to make sure that it's the one I'm thinking of and it's not the other one that I'm also thinking of.
Oh, I've made too many sacrifices? I don't think so.
Yeah,
No, I'm just trying to decipher between which two conversations it was. But it was the one for Parrish, right?
Or the original sacrifice.
Okay, just clarified for me as a player. That's what I wanted to make sure.
What other sacrifice are we thinking of?
I was thinking more along the lines of like the recent. I think I missed the word sacrifice.
Save it for the short rest, folks.
I'm sorry.
It's golden content for the fireside.
Ortega, normally one to fall behind the group, is actually going to make haste at the front of the group after what the King of the Rivers just said.
Onward.
I want every single one of you, after having paid that toll, I need you all to make a Constitution saving throw for me, please.
Remember to add your +4.
27.
14. And for the steed,
19.
the steed actually has 13.
Okay. So anyone who rolled higher than a 16 is okay. But for those that have less than a 16, that emotional toll of relinquishing a memory, whether it was a good one or a bad one, has now laid some effect to your physique. You now have 1 point of exhaustion. Think of it as mental fatigue. You continue on making haste, and it leads you towards Bewitching Forest. Deeper into the Feywild, you notice that the time and the space seems to shift. The trees themselves seem to move, shifting paths, creating illusions that could lead a traveler astray. You see that the forest is the symphony, each tree seeming to bend and breathe as though alive. The leaves overhead aren't just green, no, they shimmer with a kaleidoscope of hues, from vibrant oranges to deep purples, and you see even mushroom canopy, giant mushrooms all over. The canopy filters the light, casting ever-changing patterns on the forest floor. Occasionally, you see a shaft of silver moonlight breaking through. No moon is visible. Every sound in this forest feels amplified. From the rustling of the leaves, it sounds like whispers behind you, like snapping of a twig seems unnervingly close. The distant howls of unseen creatures reverberate through the air, carrying both wonder and danger. Somewhere ahead, you hear the gentle tinkling of a distant bell. It was a direction shifting constantly, pulling you here and there into different ways. The air here is damp but sweet, thick with the smell of earth and nectar. You tread deeper into this forest. The humidity clings to your skin, creating this uncomfortable stickiness, the scent of moss and flowers and something old, like musty pages of a forgotten book, filling your nostrils. The ground is soft, almost spongy beneath your boots. You sink slightly with every step, and you see and feel these vines. They coil around your ankles, tugging ever so gently, as though the forest itself doesn't want you to leave. The trees, twisted and gnarled like ancient fingers, pulse with magic. The bark, slick and slippery, but when touched, as you brush past, emits a slight hum resonating in your bones. Every time you think you head in the right direction, you see faint glowing lights darting between the trees, will-o-wisps leading you astray. You seem to lose focus, even for a second. You look back
The whole time.
and you get lost.
The whole time this. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
No, I was gonna say,
I thought you were done.
I was, but I realized I didn't finish it. You look back even for a moment and you realize every second you're losing your way as you go.
Ortega is constantly looking over his shoulder and in every direction like he is paranoid.
I need everyone in this forest to make either perception, survival, or insight. Actually, so the first one, we're going to do 3 checks. Make your perception check first.
Would I be able to expend a use of rage for these checks?
Yeah, you could.
Dirty 20.
Just because barbarians have a use for rage outside of combat. Nice. So perception, you say?
Yes.
Ortega still didn't do very good at that. 9.
A busy bee. Paranoid.
4 for Parrish. He is dwelling on a loss that he cannot explain.
A loss that you can't
Be
explain.
devastating.
That's, you kill me, dude. Just amazing. I rolled a 16, but I just, never mind. I don't have words for it. I literally write for a living. It's unbelievable.
What did Talus roll?
15 minus 2 for a 13.
Okay. So, with a group average of
Not very good.
not very good. Less.
Of not very good.
Yeah.
I like how good at math we all are.
Yeah. It's the averages. I don't think I did the averaging right, but it's Google tells me it's lower. So we're gonna go with that. You, as you're all looking around, trying to get your bearings, constantly on the lookout, you lose track of time. Similar to Ortega in the past, spending days, months, years in this forest. It's the same forest as before.
I have to say, pretty anti this forest specifically.
But it's the prettiest forest you ever did see.
Oh, I'm like on the verge of tears. It's so pretty. I could just imagine it.
It's like the most truthful thing that Alice has said all night.
All night.
Sorry. Oh, and baby. Oh, I love all your characters so much.
I was like, I get to write down a little message about everybody's memories that they gave up. I'm so excited. Devastated. This is terrible.
Ortega doesn't currently know why he's paranoid and afraid.
That sucks. I hate this. That was such a strong memory to lead with. That was like...
I feel like you might end up getting that one back.
I don't know how many of you
like
remember
that
seeing Shorzy, but you gotta set the tone.
Yeah, that was outrageous.
I also appreciate slipping in for the sneaky memory, just because that was actually the first thing I thought of, and that was probably my only chance to use it.
So clever.
Listen here, you lawyer. Listen here, you lawyer.
I would do great in the Feywild, like IRL. I think
You would run the Feywild.
Holy. I'm going to tell everybody I know that was crazy.
obscure, nonsensical rules. Pff, I used to work in the Planning Act.
Like on a scale of 0 to Laura Bailey, you're a solid 5.
Thanks, man.
It's a solid Laura Bailey play. And God, Kyle does the Feywild in ways that are brilliant and awesome and scare the absolute shit out of me.
So we've determined that Ortega is scared, but he's not sure why he's paranoid and scared anymore.
That sucks, dude.
Well, as
But the weird thing is, we all know, or at least I know.
No, you all know.
as you seemingly spend years, 2 years in the Fae, lost in this circlet, Ortega, you start to hear a whisper on the wind, a voice most familiar to you, one you haven't heard for quite some time.
Boomer's voice, right? It's totally Boomer's voice.
It's
Yeah. Ortega, welcome home, darling.
as a
Would Ortega feel compelled to kneel?
no, not at this
Okay.
moment. This is just like a whisper on the wind. You aren't even really
Okay.
100% sure if she's even near you. However, just as this whisper finishes, 2 Fae beasts start to come out of the canopy, and they fall down out of the trees, and these dog-like beings, strange, glowing, with green essence, they start to kind of circle around, wandering around you. They don't seem hostile yet. I need you all to make a survival check for me, please.
I'm good at those. I'm not good at those.
I get advantage.
Today.
If this is Fae, Fiend, or Undead,
Amazing. Oh, I got
Ortega is still thinking about the whispers on the wind. Did Ortega hear it, or did everybody hear it?
Ortega just heard it.
Okay, Ortega is very paranoid.
I need the numbers.
He is.
Oh, I rolled 21 with bonus, 21.
Okay.
5? Oh, gosh.
-2 for exhaustion.
Average. Oh, gosh, that's right. I have to do -2 for exhaustion. So that's 21 minus 2 is 19. Because I can do math.
Tell us what to do. Sorry?
3.
3.
I'm a little bit shaken.
Ortega, your roll was what?
8.
8.
I
Oh,
was thinking about
guys.
whispers on the wind.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
we're going to
rolling
get
like crap.
eaten in the Feywild. We've been wandering around for 2 years, and we're going to get eaten.
So, as you all spend time circling around, you're struggling so hard to find this right path. You've started, first it was simple glancing, and next it was resorting to survival tactics. You look at every single one of the trees trying to find moss or even something that Ortega could recognize. Taking that time, you spend 8 more years in the having not aged a minute, as 8 more Fae beasts start to circle around you even more. You look around, and
I think Ortega is going to start going back to back with the party, as he is not liking the situation. And
Ari's
getting
already
upset
at your
that he's
back.
gotten
You don't
himself in it.
Ari's already there. By the time you're thinking of it, Ari's already, you can feel him at your back.
Okay.
Yeah, Ortega is definitely feeling some sort of freaked out after hearing some stuff on the wind, and he's just upset at himself that he has allowed himself to be put in such a vulnerable position tactically.
So in this moment, and feeling his fear, feeling his vibe, Ari will quietly sing, "I got you, babe, do-do, 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 I got you, babe," for bardic inspiration for Ortega.
Okay. Okay, so as these fey beasts start to circle in ever closer at this point, now with 10 fey beasts all around you. It was 2 and then it was 8, so 8 more came in. Basically 1 for every year that you've been down here. I need all of you 1 more. As you start to stop, you close your eyes and you think, Ortega specifically, now feeling inspired. You know what you're looking for, you just have to find it. Make an insight check for me, everyone.
You use that bardic inspiration. You need it.
Ortega gets advantage on that.
My -2, that's still an 18.
19
Sorry, what
for
was
me.
that?
30-20.
Nat 20 down to a 19 with exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
Nat 20!
We're just waiting on
30-20.
Talus,
13.
13, and Tatiana.
A much better performance this time, folks.
30-20.
All the way into double digits, guys. I'm proud of us.
Yay.
It turns out when we're being hunted by animals, we can totally pay attention to things.
It only took us 18 years.
It's only
Oh my god.
So, as you quickly look over after having spent so long, Ortega, you catch a glimpse, maybe the scent or something on your mind, and you're able to see a shimmer of light off in the distance. A place that you've been to before, you recognize it, and you start to smell the blood rose. And you find the right direction to run as these fey beasts are about to start to pounce on you.
This way, now. And Ortega's going to start booking it.
Ari runs and follows again with his, roughly with his back to Ortega. He's looking backwards, and he's got his back guns drawn.
So as you start running towards this familiar place in Ortega's history, you come into a grove, and it opens up. And as you step into the grove, the air turns still, heavy with anticipation. The light filters down in pale silvery shafts, barely breaking through the thick canopy above. The trees here are ancient, their bark twisted and gnarled, whispering secrets with every creak and groan. The ground is uneven, covered in thick, dark moss that feels cool and damp beneath your boots. In the center of the grove stands the blood rose, a single flower, its petals dark crimson, almost black, glistening as if wet with blood. The scent is intoxicating. It's rich, sweet, metallic, filling your lungs with every breath, almost suffocating. Except for Tatiana, who seems to be loving this. The air tastes thick, like copper, the faintest undercurrent of decay, and around the blood rose, you hear a faint sound of dripping water echoing. There's no source, but it's a steady rhythm, like the beat of a heart. Boom, boom, boom.
Does Ortega know how to pick the blood rose?
We'll get to that in a second. Tatiana, I need you to make me a D100 check for me, please.
Roll low this time.
Very low. Like as low as you can roll low.
Go 1 would be good, maybe.
You don't want me to roll an 83, guys?
No.
More like a 38.
14.
14.
14.
Okay.
Did I keep my sanity?
Tatiana, you feel the blood roses pull, and you taste it in your mouth, and you look at Ortega, and you look at him with lust and thirst. You're able to contain it for now, as you now start to feel the presence of someone else. Although unseen, you feel a cold, tingling sensation crawling across your skin, making your hair stand on end. And you hear someone walking out into the grove as Nerebi comes out of a waterfall, and you see the blood rose blooming under her care. She's got one in her hair, and she looks at Tatiana, and she looks at you, and she goes,
Oh, so I see you've brought her. Fascinating, Ortega. Who would have thought? I suppose you're here for that.
And she points to the blood rose and she says,
Haven't you figured it out by now, my sweet Ortega? This was all part of my plan to bring you back.
Then Ortega probably falls to a knee or both, shoulders slumped. I think he's definitely falls to the ground in despair.
and that's where we're going to leave it tonight. As the Banded Broken stand before Nairobi, the arch-faced presence sends a shiver through the air, with Ortega's past looming larger than ever. The secrets of his connection to the Fae are now painfully clear, and with Tatiana's cure within the reach, the cost has yet to be seen. The choices they make here will shape more than just their journey. It might just define their fates. Thank you for listening to this intense chapter of the Banded Broken's adventure. I have been your host and Dungeon Master Kyle, and a big thanks as always to MAB Music for setting the perfect atmosphere, and to all of you for sticking with us. What happens next will test their bonds, and we're glad you're here to see it unfold. We'll see you in the next episode.